Between the 15th and 16th centuries, the Incas developed the largest empire in pre-Columbian America in South America. During its peak, the Inca Empire extended from the current border between Colombia and Ecuador to beyond Santiago de Chile and between the Pacific coast, the Andes Mountains, and the Amazon jungle, occupying an area of almost 800,000 square kilometers. When and how did this civilization emerge, which had its capital in Cuzco, Peru? How did the Incas expand, and how did their empire become extinct after the arrival of the Spanish? How did they contribute to human culture, and what remained their great mysteries? Let's see it below. Let's start. In 1532, his empire stretched 2,400 miles. How did they expand so quickly? The growth of the Inca Empire can only be described as meteoric. Although the exact date of its beginnings remains complicated to establish, the empire known in its time as Tawantinsuyu, or the Four Parts Together, emerged sometime in the early 15th century and ended in 1532 when its last ruler, Atahualpa, was executed by the Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro. The Great South American Empire extended some 3,860 kilometers from north to south, from today's border between Colombia and Ecuador to 80 kilometers south of present-day Santiago, Chile. In terms of surface area, it was approximately 777,000 square kilometers that housed a population of between 6 and 12 million people, making it the largest imperial entity on the American continent before the arrival of the Spanish. Its rapid growth was probably due to harsh diplomacy to attract allies through political and marital alliances combined with outright conquest and coercion, all part of a single expansionist package. The mystery of the great Inca engineering. How could they build bridges, roads, and cities without the wheel? The Inca civilization began in the highlands of present-day Peru, and according to legend, its first ruler was Manco Capac, founder of the city of Cusco, around the year 1200 CE. However, it was not until the reign of Pachacutec Yupanqui between the years 1438 and 1471 when the Incas dramatically expanded their influence to Pachacuti. He is credited with transforming the small Inca kingdom into a vast empire. He implemented a political system that included a strongly centralized government, an efficient administration, and a complex and extensive road network known as the Inca Trail, which connected the confines of his imperial domains. One of the most notable attributes of the Inca Empire was its engineering prowess. The Incas built intricate terrace systems for agriculture, allowing them to grow and water their crops at different heights. The famous act or town of Machu Picchu, built in the 15th century as property of the emperor, shows the impressive architectural and stoneworking skills of the Incas without knowing the wheel and without a registration system except for the quipu, an instrument information storage system consisting of knotted ropes of different colors. The Incas developed an intricate and advanced communication network. The trunk routes were connected through a large number of secondary roads that linked the coast with the Cordillera at different latitudes. Other secondary roads connected the main axes with specific towns and points of interest. This entire road system had a total length of more than 30,000 kilometers, a feat of road engineering in pre-Hispanic America. The main cables were built with plant fibers that were braided up to 60 centimeters in diameter. Smaller diameter cables were used for the remaining components, and the surface part for walking was made of wood. The main ropes were fixed to large rocks at both ends of the bridge that were carved to secure the mooring. The rivers could also be crossed using orallas that were made with ropes of ichu, the rough straw of the antiplane, braided up to the thickness of a leg. The ropes were tied to large stones on both sides, and from these hung a basket in which a person was placed and was propelled by the rope. Most of the Inca bridges were burned during the wars between the Spanish conquistadors and the natives. From 1536 to 1572, the Incas of Vilcabamba were the four successor monarchs of Atahualpa who faced the dismantling of his empire by the Spanish conquistadors and their indigenous allies. The Pampa Spirit Archaeological Complex is an archaeological site in Peru that has been identified as ancient Vilcabamba, the capital of the Incas of Vilcabamba between the years 1536 and 1572. These Incas exercised their power in a territory approximately equivalent to the current Peruvian department of Cusco. The location of the place was forgotten after the capture of Tupac Amaru, the last Inca of Vilcabamba, when the town was burned and abandoned. The American explorer Hiram Bigman, who identified Machu Picchu in 1911, maintained that the citadel was Vilcabamba, or the lost city of the Incas, between the years 1960 and 1970. Several expeditions searched without success for the lost Inca city, although collecting information consistent with historical data. In 1976, the Peruvian historian Edmundo Guillen explored Espiritu Pampa and identified ancient Vilcabamba, an identification widely shared since the 1980s. Inca agriculture and writing. Inca agriculture represented the culmination of thousands of years of cultivation in the Andean mountains, the tropical jungles of the Amazon basin, and the coastal desert plains. Radically different environments that were part of the Inca Empire and required different agricultural technologies. Inca agriculture was characterized by a wide variety of crops, and 8,000 years ago in the territory that the Incas later occupied, potatoes, beans, and peppers were already planted. The potato, currently one of the most important foods on a global scale, was domesticated in the Andean Antiplain 8,000 years ago and brought to Europe by the Spanish conquistadors. Peru, the epicenter of the Inca Empire, has more than 5,000 varieties of potatoes, many of which only grow in the Andes. It was a predominantly agricultural culture based on experiences and technologies developed by previous cultures. The Incas organized the production of a wide range of vegetable crops on the arid coasts, the humid and warm jungles, and the high and cold mountains. Its extensive network of roads and its storage callcasts near the road system allowed food to be distributed throughout the empire. The Incas did not have a writing system as we know it, but they devised quipus as instruments to store information, especially accounting records. The quipu was a set of wool or cotton ropes of different lengths and colors that hung from a main rope. Specialists believe that, for example, a quipu with a knot with 4 turns at the top, a second knot with 3 turns in the middle, and a knot with 2 turns at the bottom represented the number 432. The absence of knots represented 0. The colors, shapes, and sizes of the ropes represented other variables. Not everyone could read the quipus. The interpretation of the information contained in these instruments became a specialized craft. The brown color represented the government, crimson the Inca, red the army, black time, yellow gold, white silver, and blue water. It is known to be used in accounting to record censuses, harvests, and animal heads. It is believed that it may have had a more complex use as a linguistic representation system to record historical events, poems, and songs. The mystery of Machu Picchu. The enigmas contained in Machu Picchu have captivated scholars and visitors from all over the planet, starting with the very purpose of the citadel, given its proximity to the city of Cusco. Some specialists have assumed that it was built as a place of rest and escape for the Inca and his entourage of nobility. Others postulate that its purpose was the practice of spiritual rites and traditions in a more restricted setting. There are even those who propose that their agricultural terraces were part of a crop experimentation project. Donato Amato Gonzalez, historian of the archaeological site, states that Machu Picchu was the place from which the Incas administered their empire. The citadel is a good example of the Inca practice of building in harmony with the natural features of the landscape. Inca architects turned the ridges into plateaus to build on and created terraces for agriculture in perfect harmony with the natural environment. Some legends attribute the construction of the citadel to the Inca Pachacutec after an important victory over his enemies. It was a feat of engineering, considering that the pre-Hispanic Incas did not know the wheel nor the enormous stone blocks that they had to transport and assemble with total perfection. The doors and windows were placed to capture the best views of the surrounding mountains, and for example, the profile of the sacred rock resembles that of one of the peaks behind it. Some structures, such as the Royal Tomb and the Condor Temple, were partially excavated into the rock. The Royal Tomb contains a carved Cinca cross that represents the 3 levels of existence in the Inca world. The first, symbolized by a snake, represents the underworld or death. The second, whose symbol is the jaguar, represents present life. and the highest level symbolized by the condor and means the kingdom of the gods. In the Temple of the Condor, Inca builders and artists carved V-shaped rock formations to resemble the wings of the bird in flight. And there are still hundreds of unsolved mysteries, such as the unexplored zones and areas of Machu Picchu. We hope this video has been useful to you. If you have anything to add, please share it with us in the comments section. Like this video, don't forget to subscribe. That's all for today. I say goodbye, and it will be with me until the next video.